This is the standing section. Feel your feet firmly on the ground, maybe not wearing boots. Usually it's socks or bare feet. And then feel the contact with the ground and the lift through to the crown of the head. We're going to get ready for a side lengthen, so lift the right arm, reach up as far as you can. You could look up along the arm if that's okay for you, and then lift the left heel, lengthen along that side, and then we're going to go over into the side bend. And as you go into the side bend, you could let the left arm hang, or you could support yourself on the hip, and that sometimes makes that easier. You can vary whether the weight is more on the right foot or whether it's more balanced between the feet, and notice the difference that makes. Come up again, lower the arm. Notice how you feel different from side to side as you go to the second side, lifting the left arm, looking along the arm if that's okay for you, letting the right heel lift, and then after a few breaths that heel's going to come down and you're going to get ready to go into the side bend, letting the left arm sweep over the head as far as that's comfortable for you. And you could be looking down more like Jeremy is, or forward like me, or you could be looking up to the sky. Back up to standing, let the arm float down again, and see how you're feeling now. Okay, now we're going into tree balance. Because we're outside and we're wearing shoes, we're doing the outdoor tree balance, where you tuck the foot behind the standing leg. It's more usual to have the foot resting against the standing leg, the sole of the foot resting against the standing leg. You could have the hands together in prayer position, as we did at first, or lifted like this. And then you can start to be a tree in a breeze or even a storm. Move as much as you can and let yourself fall out if you need to every now and then. Come down, change sides, hands together at the beginning, and then you're going to lift the arms if that's okay for you. And really you're just pushing towards the edge of where you can be stable. So happy with any movement, and you can throw in deliberate movement like a breeze or a storm to really challenge that balance and just enjoy it. Come back down to standing. That's the first balance. In between the balances, we're going to do some forward bends. So rolling down, head heavy, kind of a round back one. The knees could be bent or straight. Notice what's down on the ground while you're there. If you're not comfortable dropping the head, it doesn't have to be as low as that. Then roll back up again. And then we're going to try another forward bend. Now, we can go to the trees and use the trees for this, but you could use a table or a wall and rest the hands on the table or against the wall as you go into more of a straight back forward bend. So, we are lucky to have the trees to do this pulling one, and we can go into a shape really like a dog pose. Demonstrating a slightly less deep forward bend by coming higher up the tree. And the same for you, you just vary the forward bend, find something that suits you. And then we're going to try another tree balance, this time using the trees, but at home you would be using a wall. Leaning completely against the wall if that's good for you, or you could just use a tiny, you could just have a finger on the wall. Seeing how it feels to have that support, both of the ground and the wall. Change sides. And in the second one I'm demonstrating how, if you just have a finger on the wall, in this case the tree, you can let go and then come back to the wall, just finding that balance point and finding the confidence and the fun in that balance. Just not worrying if you actually do lose the balance completely. And then we're going to come back again and we're going to go into our second balance, the quad stretch balance. We don't have belts, so we've got to hold our ankles, which is a little bit tricky. In boots, easier if you've just got socks or you're barefoot. And you could stay vertical You can lean forward if that's fun for you. It's more of a flying one then, more of a Superman or dancer. Feel the weight on the floor, that foot on the floor, and then the body extending. Coming back up again. And bringing the foot back down to the ground. Get ready for the second side. And I'm going to demonstrate on the second side that again you could use support. So you could do yours both with support or both in the middle of the room. So you can lean on a wall towards the wall, or you can stay vertical. So now I'm leaning towards the wall, but you could also be vertical. And Jeremy's demonstrating how you'd be more sideways onto the wall. So there's so many different ways of using support. You just find what you need and what works for you. On any occasion you come back up and then bring the foot down to the ground. This time we're going to go into a wide leg forward bend, just as wide as is good for you, so you could have 1.5 feet between the feet, you could have 4 feet between the feet, if you see what I mean. Let the head be heavy. If that's okay for you, don't let yourself be dizzy. So you can keep the head more lifted and have more of a lengthening forward if that's better for you. Breathe. And then back up again. Now we're going to look at that wide leg forward bend a different way by coming to the wall, leaning your bottom against the wall with the feet a little bit away. This is a really fun way to stretch out. I think Jeremy and I have both got our knees pretty straight, but it's actually very nice to have them slightly soft or even bending, and then you'll be able to extend down a little bit more easily. So the feet are firmly resting on the floor, the bottom firmly resting on the wall or tree if you've got one, and then just let your head hang or lean forward more if you are the dizzy type. Come back up to standing, and then find a little bit of space in the middle of the room, because now we're going to do warrior balances. I'm going to lift the arms first, bring one foot forward, and then reaching the hands forward and the leg back. My teacher would have told me to keep that back leg much straighter than this is, so you could reach back more with your knee than I am, with your leg than I am, keeping the knee more straight. And then the arms now coming behind you, which I think is easier, although I've just fallen over. And then try the other side. So first with the arms lifting, because I think that's the harder one. And then after a while, switch to bringing the arms behind you and see if that feels more like a flying one, if that gives you a bit more ease, reaching forward with the crown of the head and back with the heel. Then come back up to standing again. So doing the bear wriggle, you do it in the middle of the room, or you can really, if you have a tree, you can do the coming out of hibernation bear wriggle actually against the tree. We saw this on David Attenborough's Planet Earth too. It's marvellous. But really trying to get every little bit out of your spine, every little tension. And then we're going to use a wall to do a deep warrior pose, but it's an easy way to get into it because you do the forward bend first and then lift the leg. So here down low you can be parallel to the ground. You could also have your hands resting on a table or a piece of furniture. Again, doesn't have to be using the wall. And then come back up to standing. And you could vary. You could try an easier one, which I think is very nice too when you're closer to the wall and you're not leaning forward as much. So it's just a little tip forward in the body, and you can get that feeling of lengthening from the crown of the head. And then the second side, first of all the deeper one. Really enjoying that feeling of length. Breathe and send the heel away from you. Come close to the tree and try that one where you're tipping forward just a little bit. And again, you could do this in the middle of the room, of course. You don't have to use the support. You can do them without support as well. And then come back to standing again. Feel the feet on the ground. And just for a last release, let yourself swing round as much as you've got space. Let the arms swing right out to shoulder height if that's okay for you. And the arms may pat against the body or they may be in space the whole time. Breathing as you go, undoing any of the tensions that the strength elements of the balances bring in. And then come back to standing, feet anchored, crown of the head lifting, and just enjoy the feeling of the breath in the body. And we've come to the end of the standing section. Good job.